Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to lead you through the construction and the programming and the debugging of a very simple Python program. So this might be a review to a lot of you, but I just want to go through kind of, without going into a lot of detail, just an example of getting something up and running really quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a Python program that's going to input a number from the command line. It's going to take that number, it's going to pass it to a function, and then it's going to perform some branching on that number. So basically, we're going to do like an input and then call a function, and in that function have an if statement, do some branching. Again, not really an exhaustive example of how Python works, but just to kind of get you up and going really quick. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put in my def statement. I'm going to declare a couple of functions, or actually just one function or method. I'm going to call it compute raise, and I'm going to pass to this method a variable called salary. Then I'm going to put, actually not a semicolon, but a colon on there in a second. One thing I want to point out about this, notice that with Python, we don't need to implicitly say what type the variable is. We're just saying salary. This is called implicit passing or implicit casting, which means that we're leaving it to the program to determine the data type, which is different than a lot of languages such as Java or like C++ that uses explicit, which means that we have to say what the type is. So in this method, really simple, I'm just going to say if the salary is greater than $100,000, I'm just going to print something fun and silly like, wow, you make a lot of money, or something of that nature. Notice that if statements, or the branching statements that we're using here, the if statement, is very similar to branching statements that you might see in other languages. You're going to see that as you get up and going with different languages, that the syntax is different. Like Python, of course, the syntax is different than Java or any other language you'd be using, but it has the same sort of fundamentals, such as branching statements and functions, which you see here. So I just put in here on line 4 and 5 a simple if statement. If salary is greater than $100,000, print, wow, you make a lot of money. Now, we don't have to specify the end of the method in Python. What we could do is we just leave a blank space, in this case, for line 6. And then what I can do is on line 7 is I can put in just really where the entry point of the application is. So I could put, for example, in my example here, I'm just going to put in an input, please enter your salary. And notice how I have the float and the input nested in here. So what I'm doing here is the input is going to take an input from the command line. It's going to prompt, please enter your salary. Now that is all enclosed in that float, open paren and close paren. That just means that the input that I am going to be typing in when this program runs, when I see, please enter your salary, will be passed into the float method. Therefore, it will be interpreted as a float. A lot's happening in line 7. So in line 7, I'm going to type in a number, which is going to be a float. It's going to be put into a variable called salary, which you see on line 7. Then on line 8, I just call the function compute raise, and I pass in salary. Notice here, I'm not doing anything with declaring data types. That's how Python works. You're going to run into some, I wouldn't say problems, but some challenges and definitely some differences when you work with languages that you don't have to explicitly say what the data type is. If you don't know exactly what that means at this moment of your career, you'll see what I mean as you get deeper into this. So there's really no need to panic if you don't exactly know what implicit and explicit casting is. You'll find out soon enough in your travels. Anyway, so I execute the program. Please enter your salary. I'll put in like $1 million and I'll hit enter. Wow, do you make a lot of money. Very simple Python program. Hey, I didn't say it was the greatest Python program in the world. So there you go. So but I achieved my objective, which is just to show you end to end quickly how to write something in Python. So the program starts on line 7, where I declare a variable called salary equals the float value of the input that the user will see on the terminal when the program prompts, please enter your salary. It makes that into a float on line 7. Line 8 calls the method compute raise, passes the salary. Then what happens is the program starts executing on line 3, where we have the method called compute salary, and we'll just have an if statement. So I'm going to add a little bit of complexity to this, and I'm going to add an error in here that I want you guys to maybe stop and debug, or kind of debug with me, just something really simple. Your skill level at Python is really at the beginner level at this point. If you've been following along with me, if you've had more than really a few months of experience with Python, this is very basic. But this is a beginning video on how to get you up and started. So I'm going to put an else if or an elif in Python speak on line 6. So I'll say elif or else if the salary is less than $100,000, I'm just going to print, better ask for a raise, or something of that nature, explanation point. Got an error in here. I want you to kind of take a look at where it is. So you could pause the video if you want and see where I have my error, or you could just keep the video rolling and just watch me and we could find out where the error is. But there's an error on line 6 or line 7. So let me execute the program, and I'm getting an error. Look, elif salary is less than 100,000. It's looking for something, isn't it? It's looking for the semicolon, or pardon me, the colon. So I put it on line 7. Whoops, it looks like I put it in the wrong spot. So let me go back to line 7, get rid of that colon, and then go back to line 6 and put that colon here at the end of my number. That looks much better. So let me execute my program. And please enter your salary. I'll say I make $9. Boo-hoo, better ask for a raise. Anyway, that's all I had for you. I just wanted to go over an example of a simple program written in Python from end to end using a function, an input, and a branching statement. You can do a lot more with this if you tried. Thank you, and have a good day.